Screen Park Unlimited.
In this episode of the Ghost Stories is the Isle of Wight one, and we've hit Chapter 2, Island Roads Are Different. And the next ghost story is called Phantom with No Face. Janet Elbridge made a rule never to pick up hitchhikers, but one dark September night she foolishly broke that rule, with strange and terrifying consequences. As she drove across Staples Heath towards Britain, Janet was at peace with the well. The road ahead was empty. Then her headlights picked out the figure of a woman trudging along the grass verge 100 yards ahead. Thinking the stranger's car must have broken down, she slowed down to offer her a lift, for it was dark and they were in the middle of nowhere. Janet stopped her van and waited. The woman who was waiting was wearing a long skirt and had a shawl tightly wrapped around her head and shoulders, leaned across the bonnet and peered inside. I pushed my window back, thinking she was coming round to the door to ask for a lift, but she just walked off, across the road and straight through the hedge. She was a ghost, and I had been about to offer her a lift, said Janet. More horrifying still, as she sat trying to make sense of what she had seen, Janet realised the woman did not have a face. There was just a grey blackness with where the features should have been. She started the van and took off home, breaking all the speed limits on the way. Still in a state of shock, she told her husband Des what had happened, and as she relived her ordeal, found herself growing hotter and hotter. I felt as if I was on fire. I was burning all over, and I could almost feel the flames licking up over my arms. I could hear them crackle. The intense heat was agonizing. I cried out to Des, I am burning. Please do something. I was terrified. I thought I was going to burst into flames and become one of those cases of spontaneous combustion. Janet's ordeal lasted several minutes, and neither the cool night air nor cold wet flannels lessened the burning sensation. When it was finally over, Janet slept mercifully without dreams. It was one more than 2 years before she could bring herself to drive along that stretch of road again on her own. She still could not pass the spot where the ghost had disappeared without a shudder. Who or what was she? Who or what she was, I have no idea. She was obviously searching for something, but she did not find it in my van. I sometimes wonder if perhaps she perished in a fire long ago, and I caught an echo of this somehow, experienced her last agonizing moments as she burned. So that's that ghost story, and the next ghost story is called Collison with a Cavalier. One dark night, as she drove towards God's Hill, Pat Pledge saw a figure moving towards her car. She braked sharply, but not in time to avoid a collision. The friend who was with her screamed, and Pat braced herself for impact. None came. She drove straight through the man he simply vanished, leaving both women in shock. Pat can still recall every detail of that odd encounter, because as she soon realised, she had hit a ghost. All I could see was the top of his tunic, which was dark, with 2 rows of brass buttons down the front. He was wearing a hat with a feather and looked like a Civil War cavalier. I stopped the car and sat there, trembling, Pat recalled. Stranger still, it was on this very same stretch of road just past Bowen Corner that she had seen a phantom horse floating just above the highway. Some months earlier, Pat had slowed down so as not to threaten the animal, before noticing that its hooves did not touch the ground. As Pat watched the grey horse drifted through a nearby hedge and vanished, unconvinced there was some connection between the 2 apparitions, and that they were probably horse and rider. But why I saw them several months apart, I will never know. So that's that 2 ghost stories. So it's time to say cue those credits.